Hey, you looking for some secrets? I got them right here. I'm Wieczorek, and I've got this podcast. It's called Chicago Real Estate Secrets, and I'm going to share those secrets with you. I'm going to have the top producers and other real estate innovators in our area, and they're going to tell you everything you need to know how to make that money. So tune in every week and check it out.
Hey, it's your lender Mike. We're here with another episode of Financing the American Dream. We're here today with the Grant Cardone at Cardone Capital here in Miami.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, my pleasure, truly. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, well, hopefully a lot of bit about mindset and what it takes to have the right one in both personal and your professional life.
Yeah.
And how those intertwine with each other.
Good.
All right. Grant, what does a guy that seemingly has everything, that has put himself through something most recently that seemed to have tried every core value that he had, what does somebody like you today strive for? What's your new, if it's been reinvented, what's your American dream today?
Look, I just want to reach my potential. You know, it's not about stuff and cars and planes and money or numbers, but it is about how can I make a difference? How can I reach my, like, something inside of me something that I haven't yet done. And I'm inspired by so many people that we all know the names of people that are just doing just amazing things right now in this world where things are changing so quick, new technologies coming, new opportunities. Like, it's just an exciting time to be alive. And to truly, not just the American dream, but your own personal dream, you know. And I know that's, we were in 19 countries before the country shut down, before the world shut down. And that American dream theme is present in every single country I go to. It's in Sydney, it's in Singapore, like everywhere, right? Everybody wants the dream of reaching their potential. So that's really what's driving me.
And I'll tell you what has driven me is to truly dig deep to know what that potential is.
Yeah.
'Cause I think everybody shortchanges it,
Yeah.
right? So like your teachings, all that stuff really has taught me to dig deep and to take that action now.
Yeah, well,
right?
good.
I even have it tattooed on my wrist.
That's
I
awesome.
stopped wearing watches. This is the most valuable one I have.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
it has motivated me in my personal life to be who I am through, through a lot of your videos. I was like, shit, I can actually do what I do every day in business, and then people respond to that?
Yeah.
Well, I found out a lot more rapidly and a lot more people.
Yeah.
Right? So what I see here in your office is people are able to harness the power of themselves. How do you inspire people on a day-to-day in your business to really dig deep and find what is important to them and then act as themselves day to day?
I don't try to inspire people. Like, I'm not waking up today saying I got to go inspire my team and I got to make them great and I got to make them better. They have to have that. So I create the vessel, I create the opportunity, the vehicle for people to drop into. 50% of them probably will not take full advantage of what's here. And then there's going to be some other percentage that is like, I want more responsibility. Yeah. I want to be a leader here. And I think the only thing I can give anyone is an example. My example is not always the right example. Part of why I did Undercover Billionaire was I have been teaching and educating people and inspiring people to do something else, or attempting to inspire an audience to do something more for 35 years. Yeah. And when Discovery came to me and said, hey, would you do this undercover thing where you don't have any money, you don't have your name, and you got to turn $100 into $1 million business? I'm like, when are we going to start?
Right.
Because now in that 3-month crazy mission that I was on, with no money and I can't use my name, shaved my head, I don't have to lecture or teach anybody. I'm like, just watch what I do. So the short answer to that is example. Like, I come in here and I just set an example. People see me show up every day. They see me show up on Saturdays. They see me working Sunday nights. Like, I set the example. People can decide whether they want to emulate that and or just deny it and go do their own deal. Like, I just know emulation and almost not copying, but when my dad died at 10, like, I wanted a mentor. I wanted an example. I didn't, and when he died, he went away. I just started looking for other examples, and a lot of those examples, particularly in my teenage years, were bad examples, and I went down the wrong road.
Right. I can identify with that myself.
Sure.
Again, the book, the way that it speaks to people, and what I want to inspire people is like, hey, the massive action thing, I was really doing it all the time.
Just in the wrong places.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, something I want to go back at is like giving people something very tangible they can put their hands on and work with every single day.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, like you're saying, show up, right? Like show up and be truthful in what you're doing. And people will come out of the woodwork and say, wait a minute, you went through that? You did that? You don't know that? And it's inspired others to kind of come on my team of friendship or business. So where have you derived like your greatest business relationships from? Have they been initially in a successful transaction, or I know that you find opportunity in problems. So like where are some of the coolest relationships come from that you've established through action?
The social mediums that exist today. Like I'm on Clubhouse quite a bit. I joined Clubhouse about 5 or 6 weeks ago. It's been just like an amazing little ride for me. I started it with no followers. I think I have 450,000 people that follow me on Clubhouse. Like, because it's two-way communication. And the problem with like even this interview, I mean, it would not be as good as if I was just talking to the camera. I'm talking to you and we're having an exchange. But the other socials, the Facebooks, the Instagram, it's just a one-way flow to the audience. Hey, do this, or here's an idea, or this is what I think. And that's not really fair exchange, right? It's much better. The relationships are created when there's a two-way exchange or a three-way exchange or 6 or 7 people talking about one thing. Right. And maybe we agree on pieces and parts of it and disagree on other pieces and parts and find some common ground or some discovery, the relationship in the other part. And so, look, I just show up, back to the show up thing, like I show up. I just show up. I'm 63 years old. I shouldn't know anything about social media, nothing. I should know nothing. Most of the guys that are playing in the space that have big audiences are much younger than I am. But I have learned how to use these mechanisms as channels to communicate with people. I'm highly interested in people. And I know that, and again, on that show, on Undercover Billionaire, I didn't worry about the money. I worried about the people. I was accumulating people throughout the show. The first 10 days I had a target of 100 people. I want to make 100 good contacts of qualified people in Pueblo. I'd never been to Pueblo. I wanted to make those contacts there because I knew those people are already in play. And I think that this is a thing that we missed, the younger generations. And when I was growing up, I was not told, go make contact with people. Right. I was told, go get a job. And a job is one thing, but people are the vehicle. People are the connection. People are the expansion to whatever you want. Like if a dream's gonna come true, you're gonna make money, you're gonna buy a house, a car, whatever you want in life, there's a person on the other end of that transaction. Mm-hmm. And so the more you can put yourself in play with people to develop a relationship, whether there's a deal, money or not, the opportunity really is, without sounding opportunist, is connections with people. COVID kind of crushed that for a lot of people, that face-to-face contact.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out, while that this is still there, we got to figure out how do I go out and still maintain and develop relationships without just being a social media hideaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And COVID presented a unique problem, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys make that, an opportunity to
well,
connect?
I hate COVID, man. I've had it twice. I've had the vid twice. So, we did 7 states when it was the Chinese version, like back in January of 2020. It was a brutal little beast of a virus. And before they were doing tests, I got it in January of 2020. I just done 7 cities on the West Coast. And I met, 24,000 people or something, shook hands, selfies, the whole deal. And I picked it up, and it was brutal. It was 4 days I was down, 2 days were erased from my memory. And then when I was back in Pueblo in May of 2020, I tested positive. And so I don't know if it was the first time, the second time, I don't know, but I tested positive, so I got shut down on that. But you look, it either beat you down or you figured out a creative way. Like all obstacles in life, all challenges they're either going to beat you down and you submit, or you're going to rise above it and say, I got to figure out another way. Really my tenacity was tested. Our business, we did better in 2020 with COVID by about 30% than we did in 2019. Because we figured out, okay, how I'm committed. If you're committed to getting to the place, like to that other place, the challenge could actually make you better and more creative. And I just know in my life, I have never actually reached a new level without some big challenge, big, massive challenge. And it's always the stuff I hate too. I'm like, I can't believe I have to go through this. I hate going through this, whatever it was, right? Most of the time it's unfair, it's not justified, I can't even make sense of it, but it's those challenges and that really, pressure makes the diamond. You know, it's not time. You gotta have time and you gotta have pressure to make that diamond, and typically a lot of pressure. So I'm just a piece of coal trying to become a diamond.
But you know what? I think people just don't find the pressure and stay in it.
Yeah, well, and they push it off. And you know, there's so much energy in the things that are unwanted. There's tremendous amounts of energy, whether it's criticism or hate or people telling you can't do it. All those things have really, I've learned how to, like if I have a superpower, I know how to convert negativity into something positive for me.
I've recently been told some of these things,
Yeah.
and it's interesting. I mean, the stuff that comes out in your book, it helped me live. I sit here today super healthy, healthier than I ever have been. And I wrote in my goals when I was damn near dead that I'm in perfect health. I'm in perfect health.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my head, I was like, that's probably not happening, right?
Yeah.
3 surgeries later, half my intestines gone, both my hips fixed.
Wow.
And I show up here talking to you.
Wow.
And
the gorilla in the background.
Whatever, you know, like it's wild.
Yeah,
but it's what you
yeah.
just said. It put things in perspective.
Yeah,
For the first time, it made me still.
Wow.
I don't stay in one place. I don't even sit down at work. But I had to feed myself out of a bag for 3 months, and I saw who the fuck showed up.
Wow.
Who showed up?
Wow.
Who did it? And also me. Did I show up?
Well done, dude.
I'm watching my 3 babies run around the house, and my now soon-to-be ex not supporting that. And it wasn't overnight, but I was like, you know what? My babies, the people that see me, deserve this success story even more than I. So how does somebody like me take this story? Like, everyone's got a story, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story. There's this, there's that, but how does somebody like me take this opportunity, right? I bought a GrowthCon ticket before 3 years ago. Today's the anniversary of the first GrowthCon that I went to.
Wow.
I got that time hop. And now I'm sitting here with you. To me, that's my American dream, but I haven't attained it yet. I'm writing it, right? So how does somebody like me continue the progression, continue the momentum, and inspire enough people that I continue to get to do what I love doing, which is showing them a different way?
Well, you know, I a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I don't think it's the story. I don't think what happened to you, what you went through, is the play.
Correct.
Like, I think it is. That's filler.
Yeah.
That's a conversation, but it's not where I want to spend my time, right? I want to spend my time, where am I going? Like, so for me, the thing I'm doing now is more important than what happened to me then.
That's right.
Like I had a guy beat me with a .45 caliber pistol when I was 23 years old. He jammed the freaking barrel of the gun in my face and said, down. One word, down. I took a plate, he was robbing me, and I took a plate, crashed it in his face. He took that .45, jammed it in my face, took the butt of it, hit it over both eyes, in my mouth, behind both elbows, got on top of me and just banged me for 70 stitches. Now, that story is compelling, it's colorful, there was blood on every wall, there was blood on the ceilings, there was blood in a brick, like it was terrible. I was in a hospital for 3 days. Unbelievable story. The problem with that story is it's in the past. And if I spend too much time in the past, I cannot create the future. I cannot do both things at the same time. It's impossible. You just can't. You just can't be there and go there, you know? And so I spent too much time in my past, telling my story, connecting with other people that had big losses. And while it felt good, therapeutic, and I know some people, many people will, oh, you got to go deal with it and you got to handle it. Okay, but talk to yourself about that, because I'm done spending time back there. I want a new story. I'm tired of the old stories. I want to create a new story. I want to be an example of not that, of what I can build and create that's positive to make a difference for the better. And it's over. That's over, except in my mind. And the more times I tell that story out, the more real that story becomes to me, and the more stuck I am in that moment, right? So, you know, I would just tell you, like, you got to start creating new stories that you choose to create, like that thing that happened to you. you could just start mocking up the new things that you want to create. It's pretty easy to do. I can decide what I want to do today, you know.
Here I am.
I'm here with you today.
Exactly what I want to do.
Exactly.
And that's my focus has been like, no one knew I was sick because I didn't talk about it. Everyone's like, you were sick?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's my problem. I was dealing with it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
But
let me just say, part of why I did that show, Undercover Billionaire, was not just to prove I could take $100 and turn it into $1 million business in 90 days. I wanted a new story to tell. A lot of what I do every day is like, I'm doing that, not because there's an opportunity, it's because there's a new story to tell. I can't wait to tell that story, that I attempted it and failed, or I attempted it and got it.
So how do I make sure in my future story, I'm here with you, right?
Yeah.
How do I continue that level of momentum? People are coming into my life that are like a couple of levels up, that are looking at me like, Mike, can you help me? Because I've never had anybody talk to me like that, right? Because I don't give a shit, basically. I've told this guy that he's a great friend of mine now, designer for Michael Jordan back in the day. Nice enough to design this jacket for me. And I go, you know what? The level of success you have reached, I couldn't give a shit less about. But that you're a great human being right now, I am super intrigued with what's around you. And he's looking at me for help. How do I make sure I can help that individual?
I think just keep doing things. Like, you know, I can't help, look, people, regardless of what people say about success, people don't care about your story until you make a story.
That's right.
And that story better be something good, because they'll listen to it. They'll feel so, oh my God, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you lost this person. I'm sorry that happened. But at the end of the day, they're like, what are you doing now? Like, what's this new story? Our attention and eyeballs are going to the story. What is Bitcoin at today? You know, what is an NFT? Why is that hot? And why is it rocking? You know, what's Tesla going to do? Like, or is the dude going to go to Mars? Like, people are following where success goes. Will Tom get an 8th ring? You know, like, regardless of what people say, people's attention follows the success story or the tragedy. Tiger Woods had a wreck yesterday. Everybody's worried about him. So our attention rubbernecks. Like, you got to ask yourself, you want to rubberneck to the wreck, or do you want to rubberneck to success? So what I would tell you to do is, I would start putting some things on your plate that, number one, impress yourself. Like, I'm trying to impress me every day. I'm not trying to impress the world. If I impress me, at this point in my life, I know the world's going to pay attention. So when I did Undercover Billionaire, it was like, I want to see if I can do it. It did it for me first. Number two, I did it for my family. I'm like, I want to keep my family's attention on what we're doing, okay? Not the problems, what we could do and the potential. The third is my employees. If you were at my morning meeting this morning, I want my employees excited. By the way, I haven't even talked about a customer yet. Me, my family, my employees. Number four, my competition. If I have any perceived competition in the marketplace, I want them paying attention to what I'm doing, because the moment I can get them to pay attention to what I'm doing, they're not doing anything. They literally give ground up to me. And the fifth thing is the customer. If I can get the first four people to pay attention to me, my family, my employees, and the competition, I'm going to get a customer. And then I have a story to tell. Like, I'm trying to buy the building right behind me right now, okay? We should have it under contract here in the next 24 hours. That's a big story. There's a big hotel in Miami. I'm gonna try to grab that thing. I'm looking at an island right now. I got a helicopter being delivered. This is not about money. It's about, I need stories to tell, because it builds the brand out and it gets people excited about, dude, this guy's going some places.
I think I needed to hear that again. I mean,
Yeah. And that's what 10X is.
Yes.
10X is, hey, don't settle on the one thing you're doing. Find another 9 things you can add to that. Half of them are going to fall apart, okay? You're going to be disappointed on 2 or 3 of them. You might get one that wasn't even good for you, okay? But out of that 10, too many people rely on too few things. You know, so I don't, like, in our real estate business, we never rely on one bank. I'm going to go to 3 or 4 banks, get quotes on 3 or 4 banks, because I don't want to be taken advantage of by one source or be disappointed by one source. Same thing with social media. You know, we don't rely on Instagram or Facebook. LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, I use them all. I just bang them all to death until they throttle me, shut down. They're no longer any good. They had Clubhouse. I think Mark Cuban's going to do Fireside. Facebook will add something. I want to use all those mechanisms, as well as knocking on doors, doing this interview with you, radio podcast, whatever is out there that I can distribute a communication to find people that either disagree with it or agree with it. Either one, they're the same to me. Agreement and disagreement are a version of a flip-flop of the same thing. Hate people that see this interview and don't like me, it's just a flip version of I did like the interview, you know? So I'll take either one of them. I don't really care if people like me or don't like me. I care I like me.
That's right.
And then I'm the one that's got to go to sleep with me tonight now and be happier. And sometimes I go to sleep and I'm not happy. Well, I shouldn't have done that, or that was too much, or took it over the top. That was stupid what I did. And then I got to apologize and pick it up the next day. I got a t-shirt that says, hey, I apologize in advance, because I screw up so much. I show up so much and I commit to so many things. Yeah. And then I'm like, I can't do that, or I said it wrong, or, you know, I did too many interviews. Like I did 80 podcast interviews on Undercover Billionaire. And it was about the last 4 or 5 of them, I got way too loose. And I started getting way out there. And it was like, okay, I got to stop doing interviews. Like it was too many. And I just needed a break from it, because I got a little disrespectful to a number of people.
Okay.
And so I had to call people, hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean, I'm just trying to get attention for the deal. Probably did too many interviews, blah, blah, blah. Forgive me. And some did, some didn't.
Okay.
But, you know, whatever.
Something,
at least I'm in play.
That's right.
I'm in play.
If I've ever showed up in my past, you know, and lied, those things are present for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. But some of these people that I told what was otherwise than good news have been my biggest supporters. Yeah. Those people, those hard talks, people can't have them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so honestly, you said you did too many interviews, but man, I saw a different spot or a different part of you in some of these interviews that I was like, damn. That Undercover Billionaire was probably the best thing, like you said, and the worst thing you did. But
yeah. Look, when I spent 35 years building a name.
Yeah.
And paying it like it's a crazy world we live in, because the very thing I spent all this time building, I've been trying to get a TV show for 10 years. So, because I knew if I could get my brand out there, it would explode the brand. It would be better for my business, to make it easier for my guys, and. Then I get this opportunity, and the deal is you got to lose your name. You can't use your social media. I spent I don't even know what it's taken to build this social media following that I have. Can't use my social, can't use my name, and I got a good head of hair, and I got to shave it, you know, because I could not have gone anywhere without the shaved head. Now, the people watching this right now, like, I don't even know who you are. Well, if you go anywhere with me, I got a big community of people under 30 years old that know who I am, even my voice. Like I was in one meeting in Pueblo doing this Undercover Billionaire, probably in the 4th week. And I'm doing a meeting like this with a guy, shaved head, got a big beard on. And the guy's like, excuse me one second. Anybody ever tell you sound just like Grant Cardone? I said, man, I hear that all the time. But this guy right here, notice this guy right here, he looks like Ben Affleck. Yeah. And the guy, he completely got distracted. He's like, he does look like Ben Affleck. And then the guy starts telling, I got a buddy of mine, looks like Damon, blah, blah, blah. And so I distracted him with this Ben Affleck comment, right? And we moved on and did a deal. Because when I was in Pueblo shooting the show, if I got discovered as Grant Cardone, we had to throw the deal away.
Oh,
so the goal was they gave me $100. I got to build $1 million business in 90 days. I met with the president of Discovery, Nancy Daniels. I said, look, I'm going to do a $10 million business. And she's like, what? I said, I'm going to do a $10 million business. I don't need the $100. I'll do it in less than 90 days. And I'll pay you $1 million in cash if I can't pull it off. And she's like, are you for real? She looked at me, are you real? Are you playing with me right now? I said, no, I'm not playing with you. Let's go. So there was only a couple of conditions I had. And it had to start when I left this big event I was doing. And let's go. And it needed to play in 2020. Well, we didn't know COVID was going to happen. So I hit Pueblo. I leave a meeting with Kevin Hart in front of 12,000 people. I was interviewing Kevin. 12,400 people, Mandalay Bay, the whole place is ours. It's 10Xs everywhere. It's my annual deal I do every year. I get on my plane, shave my head, fly to Pueblo. It's 15 degrees. There's maybe 5 hours before the sun goes down. And I got a shaved head. I have a new name, Lewis Curtis, $100 in my pocket. And I don't even know where to go. And it's cold, and I don't like cold weather, and I don't have any food, dude. I don't have food, I don't have water, I don't have a place to sleep. I know no one. My family's not with me, and I don't have my crew. And I can't use my name. Like, the point is, the very thing that I spent all these years using in the thing that I finally wanted, which was this show, right? I couldn't use my name. So it's be careful what you ask for,
right?
You know? And then once you get it, man, you better make the most of it. That show, those 3 months, was the hardest 90 days of my entire life.
It looked like it
was brutal, man. Not being like everywhere I went, I had, hey, my name's Lewis Curtis. Like every morning, I wrote it on my mirror. I am Lewis Curtis. I had to literally practice this thousands of times because millions of times I said, hey, my name's Grant Cardone, and introduced myself. I've been trying to make this name, right? We're all out there trying to get known for doing something. And then now I'm in this situation where I can't use who I am. Like my superpower was taken away from me. Like it was like, I don't know what it is, but somewhere above 50 years old, when I start going into the mountains, I just get crushed for 7 or 8 days. And I can't focus, I can't think well, I lose my energy, and I think something's wrong with me. I forget every time I go into the mountains. I mean, I think Pueblo's at 9,000 feet, so I wasn't even thinking about it. Like you gotta remember, they're dropping me off my pilots knew where we were going, I didn't know. They had to sign NDA saying, do not tell Mr. Cardone where he's going. So we left Vegas with Discovery. They're on the plane with me. And all I know is that we're going from Vegas, we're going south and east. And I'm like, okay, we're going to Texas, we're going to Houston. I'm sitting in my mind. How much fuel did you guys put on the plane? Because I'm trying to calculate where we're going.
Sure.
Okay, so I mean, I know enough about how our plane works. And so I'm like, okay, we must be going somewhere in Colorado. Yeah. Okay, and I'm like, they're not going to go to Denver. I can't go to Denver. They can't bring me to a major city. Colorado Springs, no. And then they're like, hey, we're going to Pueblo. I said, Pueblo? We're in Colorado. We're not in New Mexico. I thought Pueblo was in New Mexico. And they're like, no, we're going to Pueblo, Colorado. So I go on this new phone they give me. I have Wi-Fi on my plane. And I'm like, Pueblo, what is it? 112,000 people. And I start doing my homework, man. I'm racing. And they're like, what's going on with you? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to figure out how to take this 90 days and shrink it into 45 days. I'm going to pick up 10 million bucks out of this little town. And I just got to stay focused. So there's so many behind the scenes stories about this show. It's freaking crazy. This is reality TV.
Yeah.
Like, I am an unproducible person. Like, you cannot produce, you can't cut around, like you can't produce around me. Meaning, TV wants to produce, they want to produce a show. You know, you came in and you produce this, the lights and all that stuff. But this show, because of what I'm going for, okay, remember I got $1 million bet on it.
Right.
And I'm not going to lose that $1 million bet. Like, period. I am not going to give Discovery $1 million of cash. I work too hard for my money. So I'm sitting there figuring out, okay, what's my plan? And they looked at me and said, what's your plan when you get to Pueblo? I said, 3 things. Number 1, first thing I'm gonna do is take this $100 you gave me. I still have it in my pocket. I'm gonna take the $100 and I'm dropping it off at the bank. And they're like, well, you're gonna need that money. I said, I don't need $100. Okay? I'll never spend the 100. By the way, the entire 90 days, I never tapped that $100. Number 2, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. They didn't tell this story on the show. So I'm giving you something that nobody can get any other place, okay? So I said, number 2, I'm going to a gym. They're like, why are you going to a gym, man? You got 89 days. When you hit town, you're down to 89 days. I'm like, because gyms have people in them. And I need people, I don't need money. So I'm going to go to a gym, and I'm going to keep going to gyms until I find the right people in this town. The third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go find a business that's for sale on the first day I'm in town, and I'm going to go try to buy that business. This is what happened the first day. I dropped off my $100 at Wells Fargo. Number 2, if Wells Fargo's a sponsor, then you guys can add that name. Otherwise, bleep it out. Number 2, I went to a gym and worked out. I didn't like that gym, so I went to another gym and worked out there and met Matt Smith, who I ended up doing the deal with. And the third place I went to was an RV park that was for sale 9 months before and had an ad. And I went there, and that's where I slept that night. So the next morning when I woke up, dude, I had altitude sickness. I'm banged. I got headaches. I got pressure on me. I'm, like my skin's freaking aching. My back hurts. It's 15 degrees. I didn't have a heater all night. No place to piss. So I'm waking up. I'm like, oh my God, man, what am I going to do here? I called my wife and I said, I'm done. I don't need to do this. I need to pull out of this shit before it gets out of hand. I don't need to spend 2 days here. This is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. I'm calling Discovery and telling them I'm out. I did that every day for 84 days. And every day for 84 days, my wife would put me back together over the phone. She was in Miami, and she'd be like, you're not quitting. You need to do this. You can do it. Do it for the kids. I'm like, okay. So she'd get another day out of me. And then I call back. I'm done. I'm finished. Okay. And she'd be like, you have to do this, Grant. Okay. People know you're doing it. You have to do this. And I'm like, okay. And then by the like 7 days into it, I'm like, I'm done. Elena, I can't do it anymore. It's terrible. I'm sick. I feel terrible. This is all before COVID, by the way. We still had full employment in America. We were 3% employment. Like there was still opportunity. And then on the 10th day, I finally get a check. Elena's kept me together for 10 days. My wife, Elena. And on the 10th day, I finally get my first check. I'm living off in somebody else's RV on other people's money, running around town asking for food and water. And finally get my first check, and Discovery says, hey, we're pulling the plug on the show. I said, pulling the plug on the show? You're kidding, right? And they said, no, this COVID thing. This was before COVID was even a word. COVID is real. Country's going to get shut down. We have a liability problem. We have to shut the production down. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not coming back. And you'll see the show in the second episode where I'm leaving, and I'm like, this is never going to happen again. Elena would then put me back together 2.5 months later, put me on a plane, and send me back to Pueblo. So I don't know if she's trying to get rid of me, or, but dude, it was the hardest thing I did. So when I go back, getting hit in the face one time, when you don't know what's coming, when you get cold cocked, that's one thing. When you know you're going to get hit the second time, like the first time I didn't know what I was getting into. The second time when I'm flying back, the entire 4-hour flight, I'm like, oh my God, I got to go back to altitude sickness. I got to go back and start over. I got to be this Lewis Curtis character again. I got to go through the pain of not having anything, no place to sleep. Like it was freaking brutal.
So what do you do to rise above that?
Well, you got to go back and find the why. Yeah. Like if you don't have a why, you'll never figure out the how. Yeah. So I just kept saying, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And it's back to what I was saying earlier, the story, man. You need stories. I need stories that are compelling, because I don't want to go back and tell that story about getting beat up. I don't want to go back to the story about where I was a drug addict for 10 years. I don't want to go back to the story of losing my dad and my brother when I was a kid. Like that story is so old. What is my new story? What am I doing now? And it can't be, I bought a plane. It can't be, I wrote 8 books. It can't be what I did. What am I doing? And I think so many people become dissatisfied and depressed in life because what they did will never fill them up. What I'm doing, will give me a sense of success. Is like water, man. You need more. You need more water. I still need to hydrate. And I think a lot of people say, like, I don't need more success. Yeah, you do need it. You need a story to tell, and people need to see the example that you're living life, fulfilling your potential.
I couldn't imagine you being happy if you stopped. Like, what does that look like?
No, I wouldn't.
Man, right?
I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be. And happy's not what I'm seeking, right? Mm-hmm. Like on this project, I was seeking. I love having a target. I'm like this dog that needs a bone to go bury and then go find, right? Like. I'm very much like that. Like I can measure what I'm doing. I can't. This idea that I'm just going to be happy and content is not of interest to me. I want to do something.
That's right. I mean, for me, that was the same thing, right? And so I'm curious to you. You've helped so many people, right? And you're fantastic, one of the best at marketing the ability to help somebody and staying in front of them, because they're going to be better off if they actually indulge in your content. So what are some of those, and I saw you had a book. I mean, fantastic. You had a book of success stories right in the front lobby.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, right? So what are the standout ones, though? I mean, there's obviously a lot listed in there, right? But what are some of those standout success stories that pop up in your mind by way of you pushing so hard on this content that have showed up? What are some of those success stories from customers?
Oh, yeah, just, there's so many. That's why the book's out there, right? So there's so many people like the story you told me this morning, right? Like there's just my daughters are products. Like you can fake a lot of stuff in life. You can fake your cars, you can fake almost everything today. You can fake a watch, you can fake shoes, you can fake belts, you can't fake your kids.
Right.
So probably the greatest success story I have is my 2 children, like 11 and 9. They're confident. We took them out of the school system. We homeschool our kids. I'm involved in their homework. I don't know if that's going to screw them up or not, but you know what? I'd rather screw them up my way than their way. So If they're going to get screwed up, we're going to screw up them with big gorillas and, big think, and maybe they go too far. Who knows? Like, I don't know how they'll turn out, but I know right now I got good products there. So my best success stories are my 2 kids that are living with me, traveling with us, learning from us.
It's a beautiful thing. And honestly, watching your daughter talk on that stage.
Yeah.
I was in
Sabrina.
Yeah.
You saw the 10.
I was there.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, it was like,
I was brought to tears. I was like, what is
she introduced
that?
Kevin Hart.
I remember.
She brought Kevin Hart out. She's like, and Mr. Hart, I need a deal. I need a deal. I need a TV deal.
Yeah,
she's working with Kevin Hart, right?
She killed it.
Yeah.
Even talking, like, the cool stuff was, she's on stage, but you know what else I saw? Is your not like permission, but probably push to say, talk to people, say hi.
No, I didn't. I did not push her to
exactly.
do that. So the environment she's in, though, they're like, Papa, I want some time on stage.
Oh, I see.
Good. How much you want? She's like, I want 6 minutes. Good. Who's going to write your speech? I'm going to write my speech. Both my kids, 8 and 10 years old. They wrote their own speeches. They practiced their own speeches. They set them up on the teleprompter. They know how to do all that stuff already. So
they're in very fertile ground.
yeah, and so that's like, our kids have never been told to be careful. They were told twice by a nanny, be careful, and the kids corrected the nanny. The Sabrina tells the nanny, you're in the wrong household. Okay, we're not careful here. We're dangerous. We're going to be dangerous. Okay, my job is to create an environment where they're safe, where they're around people that they can go out and extrovert themselves with strangers that aren't strange, that aren't bad. So my job as a parent is to create an environment where my kids are safe and can extrovert into the environment, not be in an environment where they're scared of everything. Like my mom told me, hey, don't talk to strangers, don't touch that. Like by the time I was 10 years old, I didn't want to touch anything. I started pulling myself in because of the information I was given. Protect yourself, don't trust strangers, lock your car up. Like somebody's going to take it, somebody's going to, like everything was around me scary, as opposed to, let me create an environment where my kids are safe and they can extrovert themselves and not worry about everything and communicate.
That's right, because we are some of the people we keep around us. Right?
So they want to talk to everybody.
Yeah. I saw that they were hanging out of the
RV.
People.
Oh yeah,
just
totally.
like engaging. I was
you were at the Marlins Stadium.
Yeah, I was there. I was looking around. I was like, man, if anybody's looking for a lesson, just look at these little girls.
Yeah, totally.
They're talking.
You can fake a lot of things. You can't fake your kids.
That's right.
So that Marlins Stadium, okay, that was 2017 Super Bowl weekend. I put 34,000 people in that stadium. At the same exact time in Atlanta, Georgia, was a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was asked by promoters, like professional promoters, like why, Derek Jeter, who owns the Miami Marlins baseball team, dude, why would you do this on Super Bowl weekend?
Yeah.
It's a story, Derek. He's like, why 34,000 people? Yeah. I'm like, because that's every seat in the house, plus the field.
Yeah.
And he's like, Grant, we've never ever put that many people in this stadium. I said, okay, so what? We're going to do it. And it's a story. And that story, by the way, has gone around the world. I told my staff, I said, guys, if we can pull this off, 34,000 people, Super Bowl weekend, fill up every seat, this story will be told for decades. And it is. Like every year, every time somebody does an event anywhere in the world, they're like, you sold out that stadium. So.
And going from 10 to 34, that's a big jump.
Yeah, we went 2,000 people. Our first event had 50 people in it. Our second event had 2,000. Our third event had 12,000, and our fourth event had 34,000.
So if people out there right now, like for people that are doing the average amount, right?
Yeah.
So what can somebody take from this interview if they're out there doing average and they, everything is kind of comfortable and they're putting a little bit of money in a 401k and they might buy an investment house, whatever it is. What would you tell those people? What would you hope that gets through to them in this interview that could help change their life to an extraordinary life?
Yeah, I would just tell you that if you're watching this interview right now, you're not comfortable and you're not happy, and average is no longer, you're not content with it. Don't make me wrong. You're watching the interview. Like you're not, people that follow me are no longer satisfied.
That's right.
So otherwise you've already changed the channel. And I don't like this guy. And moved on to the next thing, and you're going to go watch your depression ad. So if you're watching this, it's because you know intuitively, maybe unconsciously, there's something in you saying, I'm not happy anymore at this level. I'm trying to figure out why, even though you tell yourself you're comfortable and you tell yourself you're happy and You make sense of your retirement account. You're not. You know, and so that I would just tell you, man, the adventure is in the adventure.
That's right.
And I don't have a retirement account. Like, I have all my money invested in me or my business. I'm not giving my money to Wall Street. I don't save my money at the bank. I invest my money in things that I know for sure will make me more money. And I'm an all-in guy. Like, I like being all in. I don't like being diversified over 27 things. I'm not interested in playing it safe. I'm interested in playing. And you can't play and be safe at the same time. Like, that is not, you're just going to do the same things over and over again. I'm not interested in the same friends. You know, I'll hang out with you for a while and I'll get sick of your stories. I'm like, I'm done with your stories, bro. Like, I was with a guy last night. I'm like, bro, fast forward. And he's like, huh? I said, fast forward, the tape, fast forward. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I've already heard this story. I don't want to hear it again. I've heard this story every time you come over here, bro. I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm done with this story. So I'm either going to tell you to your face or we're not going to have another meeting. So you got to add some tape to your reel. You know, life is really about a reel. We're all enacting. This is all a big movie script, and you got to add to the freaking script. And the only way to do that is to get new friends, to go new places. And so that's why, we love to travel to new places. I don't really want to go back to the same place where I know everything. I need a new story, and I need my friends to have new stories, right? Because they're interesting to me. I haven't heard your jokes yet. You'll give me your jokes, and you're either going to have to add to it, or I'm going to quit coming to your show.
Right.
You know?
Right. So I've identified some of that. Like, people are like, where do I get content? Where do I get content? And I'm like, you're living it, right? So Grant, if somebody's listening to this and they want to get started today, right? Obviously they have to change their station if they don't like what they're hearing from their current environment. What do they do? What's the first step for them?
You got to come out. You got to go meet people. You have to force yourself. If you're an introvert, you got to extrovert. You know, this idea that you're something, you're not comfortable. So what? You have to go out. You got to create a new story. And this is the purpose of life. It is not to stay home. There's nothing in your home. There's nothing staying in is not where life is, right? And that's why I tell people, why are you buying a home? Don't buy a home. Be mobile, move around, okay? Don't get comfortable. Don't settle down. Invest your money in yourself, not in a residence, not in one location. Nobody's ever got rich or developed unbelievable relationships by being in one location. You have to go out. If you study the most successful people on this planet, they're traveling to destinations. All the super wealthy, they go to Davos once a year, and then they go to Wyoming once a year, and they go meet with new people that are new players.
That's right.
And it's Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and Elon. These guys are all going to a location to make new relationships, and that is the secret. The secret of life is to go create new relationships with people that are a bit above you, as opposed to sideways and below you. And I know some people find offense to that. There are classes in life, sorry. If you go to Europe, they have no problem with it. In America, we're deluded to believe everybody's equal. Everybody's not equal in this country, okay? You got the upper class, you got the middle class, and you got the lower class. And if you keep reaching to your own neighborhood, you'll never leave your own neighborhood. You have to reach outside your zip code, outside your area code, and you got to reach. And it's never been easier than it is today to reach new people and do new things and help new people. I'll tell you, I was on Clubhouse, this Clubhouse thing. And it's the first week that I'm on Clubhouse. I'm just talking to people. I'm listening to people and talking to people. Some guy asked me about Undercover Billionaire. I tell him about it. The next thing I know, he introduces me to a guy that's producing a show with Robert De Niro in Puerto Rico. The guy comes on and says, hey, I'm producing a show on with Robert De Niro. Would you like to be in the movie? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. 4 days later, I fly down. I'm a paramedic with Robert De Niro in a movie, okay? Because I said yes. And so I now am going to be a movie star. I have 2 lines. They said, hey, would you like more lines? You did really good at that. Would you like? I said, oh, no, I don't want any more lines. I don't want any more lines. I barely could get those 2 lines out. You know, so the point is, I showed up. Yeah. I have an interaction with people. I said yes to the movie. Why? Not because I want to be a movie star. I mean, it sounds cool, but it's a story. It's a story, and you got to build your story out. You got to build out your resume, and you got to build out your for me. I got to do it for me because I'm doing something new, and I was terrified learning these two simple lines that I screwed up twice. You know, I'm like, no, you can see him at the airport. And Robert De Niro was like, at the airport? You mean the hospital, right? And he pats me on the shoulder. He's like, you'll get it, right? So the point is, like, I have a story, right? And stories keep you excited. The new story, not the old story.
Right.
That's what I would tell people, man. Go meet some new people.
So when you're creating that story, right, you're creating these relationships, you're running into new people. How do you make sure that all those interactions don't lose any value? You know, you have a lot going on, right? So like, how do you keep in touch with these brand new relationships and keep it authentic so that they do transpire into another opportunity? How do you stay in front of everybody?
I think you just, you know, I didn't go into that thinking, oh, I'm going to get a deal out of this.
Right.
You know, I just show up and say, hey, something will happen.
Will you stay in front of that party though in some sort of capacity in marketing or like?
Yeah, maybe, you know, maybe
I'm
we
curious.
will, but you know, the fact that I have that story to share with you right now.
That's right. Okay, that's the value.
You know, is I get to say, hey man, I have 2 lines as a paramedic with Robert De Niro.
Okay.
My buddy Bobby. It's a story, right?
Yeah,
And you know, I know guys that go out of their ways just to get pictures with celebrities, just to put on their social media to say, look how important I am. I'm like, okay, but it's the past. Yeah. You know, this just happened 3 weeks ago. And that's the past too, but it's not 3 years ago or 30 years ago. A lot of people are telling stories that are really old.
That's right.
And I would just say to people, like, look, the game is about people. If you want more money, you got to get around more people. If you want your business to be better known, you got to get around more people. If you want to figure out your own story in life, you got to get around people. There's just no way excluding the people equation.
And I know you mean this, but like the right people, right? If you want to share your story, then get around people that are sharing.
Yeah, if they're easy to get to, they're probably not going to, you know, if they're easy to get to, they're probably not going to change your story much.
That's right.
So the harder they are to get to, the more they can change your story.
And here we sit today, you know,
Yeah.
Call it delayed gratification in wealth in that theory, right? Like I saw you plenty of times in these growth cons, but I'm like, if I go up and take a picture, what type of attention do I have from him anyway? It's just a picture.
That's right.
I'm like, when do I come to a point where I have a valuable conversation for this person, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully this is just that, but I want to be not a past story. I want to be that future success so that people can look and be like, okay, yeah, he didn't have a horrible childhood. He had a great childhood, but then his body damn near failed him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to lose any of those efforts. And maybe it's just doing what I've been doing, documenting the journey.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think the collaboration of a show like this is really the power, not the actual show. I mean, believe me, I'm thrilled to be here. But like you've said, the journey and the collaboration with the people, that like your team to make it here, my team to make it here.
Yeah.
Wow, they're inspired. They're fired up. I'm fired up. So
it's good to have you guys here.
man, it's the best. You guys have this thing going on here. The energy is right.
Yeah, well, you can't fake that. If you guys were in the morning meeting, you just can't fake that.
That's right.
It's just like we've had Fortune 150 companies here. They're walking in this meeting like, dude, how do you create this culture? Well, it's not me creating it. It's my team holding this together. I wasn't at the meeting. So the reason I'm not at the meeting is I want it to extend beyond me. There's going to be a day when I'm never here.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not here, period. And I won't be on this planet. And I want that thing to continue, this 10X thing that we have going on, to continue to vibrate and excite and stimulate people and think about, man, could I do more? I'm doing one thing. Could I do 10 more things?
Right. And you can and you do, and that's what we've created a unique environment where people are magnetized, right? Like there's a magnetic energy. People say, hey, I want to be here because it just feels right. And I was like, oh, that's cool to have that. Yeah. And it's just because we've identified a way for people to show up themselves. So I appreciate you letting me come here as myself. You honestly inspired me to get to this point through health, through all types of adversity. And I was just kind of like, don't be a little bitch. Pick yourself up because the cavalry is not coming.
Yeah, exactly.
No one is going to help you.
Exactly.
And I am grateful for my health being horrible, and I'm grateful to sit here in perfect health to be an example for those kids at home that are not mine, my kids that are at home, to have lead by example, because today you bring something in very clear in my mind. I had been focusing more on inspiring which I have been leading by example, but like shift the energy. I don't need to
Yeah.
inspire by words, just go do.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
So if anybody takes anything, I think it would be to suck up, do you
Yeah.
every single day. Don't worry about what everybody else has to say,
Yeah.
and be careful who you ask questions, right? I'm
Yeah.
happy to ask you questions because I am intrigued by the answers.
Yeah.
So again, thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Is
man.
there anything else that you would tell the viewers about Undercover Billionaire or somebody
look,
that's watching this?
Yeah, I'll just tell you, like, you know, if you ever watch reality TV and ask yourself, is that real? That show's real. What I did for 90 days and them documenting, they followed me and 2 women. I think the 2 women get dropped off in what cities were they? Fresno and Tacoma. I don't know what they did while they were there. I was not there. I know what I did while I was there, while I was in Pueblo. And I know that, you know, the crew, like, it was hard. It was hard during COVID. What the crew went through, what Discovery went through, what I went through, it was extremely difficult. It is not a produced show, meaning it's not scripted.
Yeah.
And what you see me do over 90 days will prove to you the American dream is alive and well. Anyone can finance it. You finance it not by going to the bank. You finance it by going to people. You don't need credit. You don't need money. You do need a dream, and you do need to take action. And you got to get up and you got to put yourself in play. And if you follow me, I won't have to lecture to you. Just watch what I do for 90 days, and I think you'll be like, God dang, dude, that was kind of crazy. I don't even know if I like to do that shit. What the guy did in 90 days is stupid.
Yeah. I think that's the powerful thing right there, just the result. Not always the effort, not the story, but the result and what the next accomplishment looks like, right?
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say is just the fact that I've said throughout this process of this show that, heck, if we're talking about real estate, the people are the real estate, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
when we
right.
invest in those people in the real estate, that's where we get the greatest returns,
Yeah.
right? And then it starts to spread like wildfire. Then it's not just one single house. It's condominium, right? It's
Yeah.
40 doors, it's this,
Yeah,
it's that,
yeah.
because people will come to where they feel like they're appreciated.
Yeah.
You can tell people are appreciated here.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
Thank
you
you, man.
very much.
Appreciate it.
I really
Okay,
do.
thank you.
Thank you.